My beloved brothers and sisters, in this life we are constantly searching for answers. We ask, well, Allah, show me a sign, guide me, tell me what to do. But what if the signs are already there? What if Allah has been speaking to you all along, but you haven't been listening? Sometimes we expect a dramatic moment, a miracle, a dream, a voice. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sends messages in ways far more subtle, yet far more powerful. Tonight, let us open our hearts, slow down, and truly understand how Allah communicates with you. Sometimes, my dear brothers and sisters, Allah speaks to us through the very events of our lives, and yet we are so busy, so distracted, that we fail to notice. We plan, we prepare, we work hard, and we think that everything that happens to us is a result of our own effort, our own thinking, our own logic, but life has a way of reminding us that there is one who is above all, one who knows what we do not know, one who sees what we cannot see. You wake up one morning expecting the day to go one way, and suddenly a door closes, an opportunity you were waiting for slips away, or someone who you thought would be there for you is no longer present, and you feel confused, frustrated, even heartbroken. You start asking yourself, why did this happen to me? You blame circumstances, you blame people, you blame yourself, but in reality, this event, however small or seemingly insignificant, may carry a message from Allah. It may be a gentle push, a warning, a protection, or a guidance that you are not yet ready to understand. Sometimes the message is subtle, a delay in something you desired, a conversation you overhear, a stranger's advice that touches your heart, and yet it is deliberate, and it is precise. These events are not accidents, and they are not meaningless. They are part of a grand design, and each moment, each turn of events is a language that Allah uses to communicate with His servants, a language that requires patience, reflection, and an open heart to truly understand. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah also sends messages through what is often called the heart, the inner feelings, the deep whispers of our own conscience. You see, sometimes our mind is busy thinking, planning, worrying, calculating every step, and it can miss the subtle guidance that is being placed in our hearts. That quiet feeling of unease when we are about to do something wrong, that sudden peace when we remember to take a step in the right direction, that tug in your chest telling you to pause or to reconsider, these are not coincidences. They are gentle signals, a language of the heart, a conversation between you and your Creator. Allah has placed within every soul a compass, and that compass is the conscience. It knows the truth, even when the mind struggles to see it. It is the feeling that keeps us awake at night when something does not sit right, the soft but persistent voice that nudges us towards patience, towards humility, towards forgiveness, towards mercy. Sometimes we ignore it, we push it aside, we say, it's nothing, I'm overthinking. But these small whispers are in fact signs, reminders, and guidance that Allah has embedded deep within us, a way of speaking that does not come through words or actions of others, but directly through the very fabric of our soul, guiding us, warning us, encouraging us, shaping our decisions, shaping our character, shaping the journey of our life in ways we cannot immediately measure, but that are profoundly real sometimes. My beloved brothers and sisters, Allah sends messages through closed doors and delays, and yet we often fail to see the wisdom in them. We plan, we strive, we work hard, and when something does not go our way, we become frustrated, impatient, or even disheartened. We question, why is this not happening? I deserve this, I need this, I have worked for this. But in reality, what appears as rejection, what appears as a delay, may actually be a form of protection, a redirection to something better, something more suitable, something that aligns with the plan that Allah has written for us. Sometimes we are rushing towards something that is not yet ready for us, or perhaps it is not good for us at all, and the delay is Allah's way of keeping us safe from harm that we do not even see. Perhaps the timing is not right, perhaps we lack the necessary knowledge, maturity, or patience to handle what we are chasing, and so Allah places a barrier, a closed door, a delay, and in that moment we feel disappointed. But if we reflect carefully, we can begin to see that every no we receive, every closed opportunity, every pause in our life is not random, it is not meaningless, it is a message, a lesson, and sometimes even a mercy in disguise, quietly teaching us patience, reliance, and trust in the wisdom of our Creator. Beloved brothers and sisters, Allah also sends us messages through the people around us, and often we overlook this most obvious yet profound form of guidance. Think about it for a moment, the people we meet, the advice we receive, the warnings given by friends, family, teachers, or even strangers. Sometimes their words touch our hearts in ways we cannot ignore. Sometimes they speak truth that our own mind refuses to see. And yes, sometimes people may hurt us, betray us, or speak harshly, And in that moment we feel anger, confusion, or resentment. But if we pause and reflect deeply, we may realize that even this pain carries a lesson, a direction, or a warning from Allah. Perhaps Allah is using them to redirect us from a mistake we were about to make, or perhaps to teach us patience, humility, and gratitude, or perhaps to remind us of the reality of human behavior and the importance of reliance on Him alone. The interactions we have, the conversations we overhear, the encouragements or criticism we receive, all of these can be channels through which Allah communicates with us. We may dismiss them, we may ignore them, we may even resent them, but every human being that crosses our path has the potential to be part of Allah's wisdom in our life, a messenger in their own way, and the key is to listen with an open heart, to reflect with sincerity, and to see beyond the surface of what is said and done into the deeper purpose that Allah has placed behind every encounter, my dear brothers and sisters. Another way that Allah sends us messages is through repetition, through signs that keep appearing over and over again in our lives, and yet we often fail to take notice because we are busy, distracted, or too focused on our own desires and plans. Sometimes a situation keeps showing up, a thought keeps returning to our minds, a warning keeps being whispered in different ways, and we dismiss it, thinking it is coincidence, or that we are imagining it, or that it will pass. But when something is repeated, my dear brothers and sisters, there is wisdom behind it, there is intention, and there is guidance embedded within it. Allah, in His infinite mercy, uses repetition as a way of making us aware, a way of opening our eyes to what we might otherwise overlook, a way of drawing our attention to what is important, urgent, or necessary for our growth. It could be a lesson we keep failing to learn, a habit we keep struggling to change, a person we keep encountering for a reason, or a reminder that keeps coming to us from the Qur'an, from a sermon, from a book, from a conversation, or even from a random social media post. Each repeated message, each recurring event is like a tap on our shoulder, a nudge from Allah saying, pay attention, reflect, and act before it is too late. And yet, how often do we ignore these signs, thinking that they are trivial, ordinary, or unimportant, when in fact they are powerful, direct, and deeply personal messages from our Creator, designed to guide us, protect us, and shape the course of our lives, my beloved brothers and sisters. One of the clearest ways that Allah sends messages to His servants is through the Qur'an, through His words, and through reminders that reach us in ways we sometimes do not even notice. When we read a verse, when we hear a khutbah, when someone shares a piece of advice rooted in the teachings of Islam, it is not merely coincidence or casual conversation, it is guidance, it is a message from Allah, and it is meant to reach the heart if we allow it to. Perhaps you are struggling with patience, perhaps you are battling fear, anxiety, or doubt, and then you hear a verse, a hadith, or a simple reminder, and suddenly your heart resonates, a light flickers within you, a realization dawns, and you feel a sense of clarity, of direction, of peace. These messages come through books, through lectures, through conversations, through the people who remind you of Allah when you forget, and even through media if it carries truth and wisdom. Allah knows how to reach every servant, and He sends these messages in ways that suit our hearts, our minds, and our circumstances. Sometimes it is a verse that seems to jump off the page. Sometimes it is a sentence in a lecture that touches your heart. Sometimes it is a subtle phrase in a conversation that stays with you. And all of these are not accidents, they are purposeful, they are signs, they are reminders from Allah designed to awaken your heart, to redirect your path, to strengthen your faith, and to guide you towards what is beneficial for your dunya and your akhirah, my dear brothers and sisters. Perhaps one of the most powerful ways that Allah sends messages is through tests, trials, and hardships, because in the midst of difficulty, when our comfort is stripped away, when we feel weak, confused, or overwhelmed, it is then that Allah speaks most clearly to our hearts. We often wish that guidance would come in easy and clear ways, that we could always recognize it without struggle, but the reality is that true reflection and deep understanding often emerge only when we are placed in challenging situations. When a hardship comes, whether it is loss, illness, failure, betrayal, or disappointment, it is natural for our first reaction to be pain, sadness, or even anger. But these moments are not meaningless. They are lessons, they are messages, they are opportunities for growth, and they are opportunities for connection with Allah that we might never have sought otherwise. In hardship, we are reminded of our dependence on Him, of our limitations, of the reality that we do not control everything, and that He alone knows what is best for us. Sometimes the very pain we feel is meant to guide us, to teach us patience, to refine our character, to redirect us from paths that are harmful, and to draw us closer to Him. the trials we face, the difficulties that test our strength, the moments when we feel lost or unsure, all of these are forms of divine communication, whispers from our Creator embedded in the very fabric of our life, calling us to reflect, to seek, to trust, and to recognize that even in the darkest moments, there is a wisdom and a message that only Allah can place within our hearts, my dear brothers and sisters. Sometimes Allah sends us messages through the quiet moments of reflection, through the stillness of our own thoughts, and through the moments when we feel alone or contemplative, because it is in these times that our hearts are most receptive and our minds are most attentive to guidance. When life is busy, when we are constantly surrounded by noise, distraction, and activity, it becomes difficult to notice the subtle signals that Allah places around us. But when we pause, when we step back, when we allow ourselves to reflect sincerely on our actions, our intentions, and our surroundings, we often begin to see patterns, connections, and meanings that were hidden in plain sight. A feeling of discomfort that returns repeatedly, a memory that suddenly resurfaces, a dream that lingers longer than usual, a verse that strikes deeply when you read it again. All of these can be ways that Allah communicates with the soul, inviting it to wake up, to pay attention, and to act in accordance with guidance. In these moments, our hearts can recognize the truth even before our minds can fully comprehend it, and our inner reflection becomes a mirror in which Allah shows us what we need to see, teaching us humility, patience, awareness, and reliance on Him, and reminding us that His messages are not always loud, dramatic, or obvious, but often quiet, subtle, and deeply personal, intended for the one who chooses to stop, listen, and reflect. My beloved brothers and sisters, another profound way that Allah sends us messages is through the opportunities and blessings that He places in our lives, because sometimes guidance comes not through hardship or warning, but through doors that open, through moments of ease, and through blessings that we may otherwise take for granted. It is so easy for us to become distracted by what we desire, to focus only on what we lack, to chase what seems good in our own eyes, and yet Allah places signs and guidance in the form of doors that open unexpectedly, people who support us, opportunities that arise, and ease that enters into our lives at the right moment. These are not mere coincidences, they are messages, gentle reminders that He is watching over us, guiding us, and placing us exactly where we need to be. When we pause to reflect on our blessings, the food on our table, the roof over our heads, the people who care for us, the moments of joy that touch our hearts, we can begin to see that these are more than just material gifts. They are lessons, they are guidance, they are a form of divine communication, teaching us gratitude, awareness, responsibility, and the importance of using what we have wisely, of being patient with what we lack, and of recognizing that the path we are on, though it may seem ordinary at times, is in fact directed by Allah through these blessings, shaping our character, shaping our choices, and shaping the journey of our life in ways that we may not yet fully understand. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most subtle yet powerful ways that Allah communicates with His servants is through the moments of silence and reflection that we often overlook, because in our busy lives we are constantly running, talking, thinking, planning, and chasing, and yet it is in the quiet moments, when there is no distraction, when the noise of the world fades away, that the heart becomes most open, most sensitive, and most able to perceive the messages that Allah is sending. Sometimes, when we are alone with our thoughts, a sudden understanding emerges, a clarity appears, or a realization strikes us in a way that seems almost miraculous. And this is no coincidence, it is a sign, a message, a gentle guidance from Allah placed in the stillness of our heart and mind. In these moments, we may suddenly see the errors we have been repeating, the blessings we have been taking for granted, the people and opportunities that we have overlooked, or the decisions we need to make to correct our path. Allah speaks in the silence, He speaks in the pauses, He speaks in the gaps between our business, and if we pay attention, if we slow down, if we reflect sincerely, these quiet messages can be more profound than any loud warning or dramatic event, guiding us, teaching us, and drawing us closer to understanding our purpose, our responsibilities, and the wisdom that He wishes to impart to us in this life. Me, dear brothers and sisters, another profound way that Allah sends messages is through the experiences of success and ease, because just as trials and difficulties carry lessons, the moments when life seems smooth, when things are going well, when we achieve what we have worked for, are also filled with guidance that is often overlooked. We may think that ease and comfort are signs that we are perfectly on the right path, or that we no longer need to reflect, but in reality, Allah uses these moments to test our gratitude, to remind us to remain humble, to teach us that every blessing comes from Him alone, and to show us how to act responsibly with what has been entrusted to us. The opportunities that arise, the talents we are given, the achievements we attain, the relationships that flourish, all of these can be messages telling us to pause, to appreciate, to be mindful, and to align our hearts and actions with what is pleasing to Allah. Often, in the face of ease and success, we become complacent, distracted by the material, the worldly, or the temporary, and Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sends subtle reminders, small nudges, and quiet signs that call us to remember Him, to act with kindness, to share our blessings, and to use every moment of success as a means of spiritual growth, reflection, and preparation for the trials that may yet come, teaching us that even in comfort there is guidance, even in joy there is wisdom, and that every experience in life, whether it brings difficulty or ease, carries with it a message that we are invited to recognize and act upon. Me, dear brothers and sisters, another way that Allah sends messages to His servants is through the natural world and the signs within creation, because every leaf that falls, every sunrise and sunset, every storm and calm, every bird in flight, every change of season carries a lesson, a reflection, and a message for those who are willing to look and listen with their hearts. We often go about our daily lives without noticing the miracles around us, without pausing to see the precision, balance, and wisdom embedded in every aspect of this world, and yet these are constant reminders of the presence, power, and guidance of Allah. When you witness the growth of a tiny seed into a mighty tree, the harmony of the planets, the rhythm of the tides, or the intricacies of the human body, you are witnessing signs that speak to patience, order, trust, and purpose. These observations can remind us of the temporary nature of this life, of the perfection of Allah's plan, and of the need to align ourselves with the principles of justice, compassion, and gratitude that He has set forth. Every sound, every sight, every smell, every pattern in creation can serve as a reminder to reflect on our own lives, to seek knowledge, to understand our role in this world, and to recognize that Allah communicates not only through words, people, and events, but also through the magnificent, intricate, and purposeful design of the universe, calling us to awaken our hearts, deepen our understanding, and live our lives with awareness, humility, and reverence for the signs that are placed around us. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most profound ways that Allah sends messages is through our own mistakes, regrets, and the moments when we fall short, because sometimes it is only after we stumble, only after we recognize our own weaknesses, only after we experience failure or disappointment, that our hearts are truly open to guidance. We live in a world where success and achievements are celebrated, where mistakes are often hidden, and where failure is feared. And yet Allah uses these very moments to teach us, to redirect us, and to call us back to the path of righteousness. When we reflect on the errors we have made, the opportunities we missed, the words we spoke in haste, the relationships we mishandled, or the decisions we took without wisdom, we are given a unique opportunity to understand ourselves, to recognize the consequences of our actions, and to seek forgiveness, improvement, and alignment with Allah's guidance. These mistakes are not merely setbacks, they are messages, reminders, and lessons in disguise, urging us to pause, to reflect, to purify our intentions, to strengthen our patience, and to realign our hearts with what is pleasing to Allah. In recognizing our shortcomings, in feeling regret, in desiring to do better, our hearts become more sensitive to the subtle signs and messages that Allah places around us, teaching us humility, reliance on Him, awareness of our own limitations, and the importance of turning back, seeking guidance, and striving to walk the path that is illuminated by His wisdom, mercy, and love. My dear brothers and sisters, another profound way that Allah sends messages is through the circumstances and people that challenge us, because often it is not the easy moments, nor the pleasant interactions that shape our understanding, but the situations and individuals that test our patience, our character, and our faith. Sometimes we encounter people who speak harshly, act unjustly, or behave in ways that frustrate or anger us, and our immediate reaction may be resentment, hurt, or confusion. Yet these encounters can be one of the most powerful means by which Allah communicates with us. Through these challenges, we are invited to examine our own hearts, to recognize our responses, and to practice patience, humility, forgiveness, and self-control. The struggles we face with others often reflect deeper lessons about reliance on Allah, about letting go of pride, and about understanding that guidance is not always delivered through comfort, but through reflection on our reactions, our attitudes, and our ability to rise above the negativity around us. Even conflict, criticism, or opposition can carry a hidden message, a reminder to recalibrate our intentions, to strengthen our patience, to act with wisdom, and to remain focused on what is pleasing to Allah rather than being swayed by emotions or the actions of others, showing us that every encounter, every relationship, and every challenge carries the potential to teach us, guide us, and shape us in ways that are profound and deeply meaningful. Me, beloved brothers and sisters, as we reflect on all these ways that Allah sends messages to His servants, it becomes clear that guidance is everywhere, in the events of our lives, in our hearts, in the people around us, in repeated signs in the Qur'an, in blessings, in hardships, in creation, in our mistakes, and even in silence. Allah is constantly speaking to us, calling us to reflect, to pause, to realign, and to turn back to Him. The challenge is not whether the messages exist, but whether we have the eyes to see them, the ears to hear them, and the hearts to respond. Every experience, every feeling, every test, and every blessing is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to strengthen our faith, and to move closer to the purpose for which we were created. So let us open our hearts, pay attention to the subtle signs, embrace patience in trials, gratitude in ease, humility in success, and sincerity in reflection. For in doing so, we begin to truly understand the wisdom of Allah, the mercy of His guidance, and the profound beauty of a life that is lived in awareness of His constant presence. May we leave here today with renewed consciousness, ready to listen, ready to act, and ready to walk the path illuminated by His wisdom and love.